Riverside Park was and has been the center of attraction for the residents of Watertown for many years. Even though the original idea of the park was met with criticism, the people of Watertown soon fell in love with the natural beauty of Riverside Park, and it has become one of the prized charms of the city.
So it really is kind of one of the home plates of our community.
Made up of 29 acres, the Riverside property includes a pool and aquatic center, band shell, tennis courts, ornamental walls, baseball diamonds, a playground, two pavilions, a dance floor, a gazebo, volleyball courts, basketball courts, an ice hockey rink, lighted clay horseshoe courts, and community center.
Riverside has got the pool. It's got a much larger picnic area along where you've got the main shelter where people can be under the shelter. They can be out on the grass. A lot of people go, they'll just get a little friendly small soccer game going out in front of the lower kitchen area.
There are a slew of amenities. So we have pickleball and a tennis court. We have fishing piers that are handicap accessible.
The Rock River meanders through the entirety of the park and is decorated by beautiful and historical ornamental walls, making it one of the most scenic areas of the city. Today, the park hosts many civic and private events, making this beautiful Watertown symbol a classic city icon to this day.
And Riverside Park is really special in particular because it allows for so many different activities to occur, from the music concerts in summer to the basketball and softball games, throughout in the soccer games, to fishing, to just walking around.
However, in recent years, the park has fallen into a state of disrepair. Due to a lack of funding in the 1980s, several of the attractions, such as the ornamental walls, started deteriorating.
The walls are all over Riverside Park. Some are still there, some are gone. There used to be walls around the island, and the channel between the two. Those were worn away, not so much by water damage, but more by ice damage. I don't believe there's been too much upkeep on them.
The wall that is there, that definitely needs to be taken care of, have some tuck point done.
Several other features of the park have fallen into disrepair as well.
They're certainly deteriorating at a rapid clip year over year. That the brick walls start to crumble a bit more, and so do the little bridges. So we have some work to do there.
Some of the areas over time have just kind of failed.
Erosion of the park as a whole and Tivoli Island have taken place with limited restoration over the last 40 years.
I don't believe there's been too much upkeep on them because as Watertown grew, there is an ordinance in town which says if you build a new development, you either have to have a park or you have to give money for a neighborhood park, which occurs right around that area. So they started shifting all their energies into the small neighborhood parks and just doing their best to upkeep the park.
Some of the areas themselves, like the shoreline, has failed. The wall.
I don't think they thought about upkeeping any of the park. It was just easier to tear something down and build something new.
Over the years, several events had to be moved, changed, or discontinued because of disrepair. For example, traditionally, Watertown High School graduation was held every year in Riverside Park beginning in the early 1900s. It was one of the classic events. However, in the 90s, due to safety concerns, the Watertown Board of Education opted to move the high school graduation from Riverside Park to the gymnasium. Watertown High School students and hundreds of members of the community were displeased with this decision and fought to keep it at its iconic location. The city agreed to host graduation at Riverside Park for 2 more years before transferring to the high school gymnasium permanently in 1999, where it has remained ever since. In 2001, the band shell, established in the 1950s, was severely damaged by a fire.
We were actually playing softball that night of the fire, and we were on Diamond 1, and remember seeing the smoke, a little bit of the smoke, and then eventually the fire department came in, and we did kind of stop during the game, and everybody was peeking over to see what was going on. So
the centerpiece of local music was consumed by hot flames for 2.5 hours, while 22 firemen fought to save it. Smoke was just pouring out of the roof area and easternmost side of the structure, said Watertown Fire Chief Henry Butts. Flames were visible for a short period of time, but there was thick black smoke, and you could hear the fire burning in the walls.
The bandshell fire, unfortunately, is eclipsed by a national emergency, and it took place one day after 9/11.
$30,000 worth of damage was done.
If it took place in September, right after 9/11, the bandshell's not used actively until the following May. So that gives them plenty of time to refurbish it, finish it, fix it.
In 2005, the city raised funds to rebuild the park and plant vegetation in order to beautify the park. Unfortunately, in 2008, flooding eroded much of the shoreline, destroying the vegetation and attractions.
In the park, almost everything around the pavilion disappeared. The island was gone, and the water was within 3 to 4 feet of the pavilion itself. But that was probably the most remarkable flood.
Due to these conditions, the city has been unable to raise the full amount of funds needed to restore the park. Many private attempts have been made to raise funds, but the amounts to do a full repair and restoration to the park's former glory have never been achieved.
The roofs, the walls, even as you look at it, the stucco on the outside that is slowly cracking and falling off, we do try to repair it, but our repairs are just not original.
However, even though the park is in a state of disrepair, the park is still well utilized today.
But we have a day camp that we run in the summertime, so there's always little kids there, and then during their day, they go up to the pool. So, they can go over and play kickball on the diamonds, they could go throw horseshoes. There's just a lot of things there that can be used.
Riverside Park is loved by the community and home to every civic event in Watertown. Some of the events that are held here include civic celebrations, church picnics, school picnics, music events, family outings, 4th of July, farmers market, fireworks, and baseball.
I grew up at Riverside Park in a lot of ways. My parents both played softball, so I spent many evening nights in the summer running around Diamond 1 and Diamond 2.
The main event Riverside Park is known for is Riverfest. This year, 2021, marks the 35th celebration of Riverfest. Offering free admission to anyone in the community, including families, residents, and children of all ages, Riverfest is a tourist attraction that brings many visitors to the community of Watertown.
Riverfest is one of the bigger ends. That's a huge impact on the city.
This enormous 4-day event is a huge source of income for the city, featuring classic cars, live music, entertainment, a craft fair, a marathon race, and even chainsaw cutting. Riverfest showcases Riverside Park through this popular event that brings the community together. Like many other places, the park has changed throughout the years. Riverside Park used to be much more involved in the community than it is today.
The deer pen that used to be over north of the horseshoe courts, there used to be a thing called the Rocket in the playground where Chamberlain is now. It was probably a 15-20 foot high monkey bar type thing that you climbed.
It was the hangout spot in the day, the perfect place to go swimming in the river, the dreamy vintage location for a couple's wedding, and the treasured site for so many beloved family events.
It's where people get engaged, and I've seen that happen. It's where families come for reunions, where we have children's birthday parties, and so it matters to the community.
Historical places like this one bring character and charm to the city. Fixing up the park would give the charm back to the beloved area.
Most people in Watertown have quite a lot of memories connected to specific items. And if you think about it, a park is used by all age groups.
Riverside Park fosters a sense of community, which brings people together.
Because communities are strengthened when we make connections with other people. And Riverside draws people from all walks of life together, and to make that happen.
It's just a nice, peaceful area in the middle of town, lots of green space, lots of areas you can just go visit, just go sit, hang out with friends, or be by yourself.
When the park was first established in 1909, it was a swampy marsh given to the city on the condition that the city would pour $300 into it every year for the first 10 years. The citizens were skeptical, but within those 10 years, the bog was turned into a gorgeous park. The Works Project Administration worked hard to reroute the river, build the walls, and put in the pathways.
We obviously have historic bridges, those little bridges in the park and the historic walls, and those are a big piece of the fabric of our being. Our history is really important to us here in the community, so we don't want to see things like that go.
Over the next century, the buildings were erected and the pathways were built.
The upper kitchen dance floor area, from there, that was big gathering point. If any of the pictures that you view from the past, that's where everything started, was there.
A petting zoo was established and the park became popular. It was a glorious day when on July 4th, 1942, the pool officially opened.
But the main feature of Riverside Park, probably the pool. Because we have an aquatic center now, which is quite extensive.
Today, the City of Watertown values the park and is working to remodel it.
Those bathrooms are original. So it becomes very difficult for us to, we can't even purchase parts. So we either have to fabricate them ourselves or not run whatever component is broken in the bathrooms. So the bathrooms would greatly benefit from improvement.
The wall that is there, that definitely needs to be taken care of, have some tuck point done.
As popularity with outdoor events rise again, the park continues to be booked every weekend throughout the summer.
Obviously, it's the home of our community events like Riverfest and the 4th of July celebration. We did the farmers market there from time to time. We do lights and sirens there. And then we have a lot of different size shelters, and some small, some can host 50, 75, 100 people. And so we will have private events, weddings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers. A lot of different events happen at Riverside Park.
While this will cost a significant amount of money to remodel, it is a benefit to the community.
Frankly, there's no other space in the city that has that amount of outdoor and park space and river access.
To those that attend regularly, quality takes money.
People are looking for things to do, but to get the products, prices have gone up.
To keep this park a natural beauty for the city, it will take time and effort from the community to restore this park to its original beauty.
It's important for us to do our best to maintain those components because of their historical value to the city, and to try to do that in a cost-effective way is the real balancing act.
As things wear, as time goes on, you do have to start repairing, replacing things, so on and so forth.
This park tells a story. It was created during one of the hardest times in the nation. It shows that our ancestors made it through some tough times because of places like this one. This park memorializes the past and heritage that makes Watertown unique and a place that makes people want to stop and just enjoy the scenery.
People quickly associate those stone walls with Riverside Park. So it's part of the memorial, and it's part of the park that stayed the longest. Therefore, it has attached all sorts of memories.
But there is only one Riverside. In the past, it brought people together.
And I would just say that parks in general, and Riverside in particular, are really important because it's a way of bringing people together who might not normally meet each other.
Riverfest has become the family reunion of Watertown, and so they come back, they plan their family gatherings, weddings, reunions to coincide with Riverfest, so that it's used actively throughout most of the summer and part of the winter.
I think the community would also lose a safe place to be together and a safe place to enjoy and try different things.
Riverside Park is what is seen in the graduation photos, in the memories of Riverfest, in the remembrances of Independence Day celebrations and family reunions.
Way up into the sky, one of my first memories is they used to do the American flag on the ground. So there were sort of like giant sparklers. And so if you got to the right position, you could see this flag probably twice the size of this room.
It is Riverside Park that boasts of the unique watchtowers and the vintage pavilion. It is Riverside that hosts the community baseball games and the summer night fireworks shows. Riverside is the heart of the community and has been for years.
I know why I went to the park as a child. Why I go to the park now as an adult is a different reason. And it's to take my children there and to use Chamberlain and to go to community events.
And last, I would say it's got the longevity that none of the other parks have. You don't often hear me say, oh, I'm so glad to go to Clark Park or Shaler Park or Silver Lake. But Riverside, you say Riverside, everybody knows where that's at.